Hello and welcome to the next episode of Techman Talks Dynamics. This time we're back on the CRM and Power Platform trail and we're talking about Wave 1 2026 and some of the highlights from the release notes that came out towards the end of March. So with me today I've got John, Kelly and myself Jason. If you've watched the podcast series before, you'll know that we all come from the CRM Power Platform team. And without further ado, let's start, because we've got the traditional CRM apps to get through and also some Power Platform kind of features and Copilot Studio kind of features and enhancements that are coming as well. So, shall we start with sales? And I'm going to say Microsoft have summarized the new of sales and what's coming in sales to look to reimagine a new vision of how sales CRM is going to work. Now, they're trying to position it and trying to state that the system is going from a system of record to a system of action, opposed to then salespeople just looking at I've put in my opportunity, I've done my meeting, I've put my notes in, I've moved my opportunity across, I've won, I've lost it, and I've done it. They're trying to say that CRM is you feed it and it's going to give you something back. It's going to help you do your next task. It's going to tell you what you should be doing next, etc. And obviously, historically with CRM systems, it's there to give you information back, but you've got to put in as much as you give it. CRM and with Dynamics 365, it's very much there. They're trying to change that world where the system's trying to look at the information you've got and give you something back without you telling you, oh, I need to do that in return straight away. So it's trying to be intelligent to say, actually, I know what you need to do next. And with that probably leads into the theme of probably the entire podcast, but specifically around kind of the CRM ones on sales and customer service, is agents then. And of course, we know that Copilot's inside the system as an assistant tool and a chat. But obviously, agents, Microsoft are releasing and enhancing and deploying agents within their business applications. And I would say they are very much going to town on what the agents are doing with inside of CRM. So, who wants to start with where we're at on a agent front in sales?
I mean, it does seem that they are repositioning where things are. I mean, the general opinion that I get is that AI was a useful add-on. Now it's getting pushed a lot more front and center. As you say, it's designed that the system will give you the prompts, it will give you the insights, without you having to ask for it. Instead of it just being someone you can ask the questions, it's actually starting to guide you.
Yeah.
Which is, I mean, to be honest, with any sort of new technologies, what you kind of expect is that you get it embedded and it starts to expand and then grow. And we've seen this. We've seen it in other areas of the system, haven't we, where new things come out.
I think, I said it 6 months ago. I think the world of CRM generically is probably going through a revolution, not an evolution. Yeah. We talked about kind of SaaS. And cloud, but the reality is Microsoft have been on their cloud SaaS journey far longer than they have been compared to their ERP platforms. So CRM is maturing in a greenfield type tool on cloud, kind of monthly, quarterly, bi-yearly, yearly updates, etc. We've been on that journey for a long time now.
We had the conversation earlier, didn't we, where we said, yes, the Wave release is a lot of AI and a lot of things like that, and there's not that many different features that aren't AI. But then it's
Carry on listening though.
But it's like, but Power Automate does what Power Automate does. Doesn't really need updating that often.
Yeah, and
Canvas apps do what Canvas apps do. They don't really need that many updates. The AI features are new, so they need the updates.
And I think as well with those is that there's a lot of kind of, there becomes techie updates to Power Apps, the techie updates to Power Automate, techie updates to aspects of the platform, I guess is the best way to describe it.
That get us excited, but
yeah, I was going to say,
Yeah.
us around the table, we can talk to it in our own little huddle in our own room and kind of jump around a little bit. But on a podcast like this, for all intents and purposes, the customers, prospects, people who are on the Dynamics ecosystem, they're going to go, I can't really give a hoot
no.
what that little field does or that little toggle does in the background. I want to know it's going to impact my business outcome. And again, the reality is, you are right, is that the business outcome wave release notes is all about how agents are revolutionising. I know it's a strong word, but I believe revolutionising how CRM will be configured, but also be used from here on in.
You're right though. So how how you started from, historically it's been a system of record. You've used it to store audit notes, opportunities, all that kind of thing, and now it is becoming a system of action. So like the research agent will now go and be proactive. Go and it'll look across all of your CRM data. It'll go and look at multiple different sources now. Not just the web. It'll go and look at if you've got data lakes. Can go
Like local
through
files, local files as well.
You can now upload local files and get it to go and research through those. So it's becoming increasingly more powerful, and that is going to make a real world difference to the end user.
I think it's the case of, if we look at the kind of the role of a salesperson, kind of having done that role previously, your responsibility has always been, before meetings, you go out and do your research, do your analysis, find who the people are, maybe what their job history has been, how long they've been in the business, what the business does, where they've come from. Are they on a growth trajectory? Have they been bought? Are they about to be acquired? Have they launched a new product, etc.? Where we've done similar projects before, etc. There's an element that research agent is bringing that whole experience, that whole activity within inside of your CRM toolkit, is the best way of describing it. Now, again, I think it's fair to say it's on a journey. It clearly it's not going to research everything that you'd want it to research right now, but even what you've just said, Kel, there's clearly more sources it is opening itself up to now.
Yeah.
And as with anything agent and AI related, is that you've got to tell it to learn in the background, but also you've got to explore what works for you.
Yeah.
And not just give up because it gave you something a bit duff in the background. It's just actually, maybe that's not the way to ask it. Maybe that's not the information that I really want kind of scenario. But I do think that as a salesperson, you're so used to going off and finding the information from lots of different places, the LinkedIns, the just Google their website kind of, and just internally, etc. Previous proposals, quotes. And that way of working for a salesperson, I think, is going to fundamentally change.
Yeah, it will. Yeah, it will.
Your salespeople, the best way to describe it, opposed to them seeing this as and again, I've always seen it more than this, but let's call it for what it is in terms of people's cynicism towards a CRM. I've just got to fill it in. It's my admin tool. I'll do it on a Friday. No, you should never do it on a Friday. You should do it as you go. But the reality is that I'm very
salespeople are salespeople.
I'm very much well aware that kind of culture and that kind of way of working is still out there and stuff like that, and that's just how it is. But those people, those teams, those sales operations that work like that, you won't be able to work. You won't be able to work like that anymore.
You won't want to.
And absolutely, you certainly won't want to if you truly understand how the CRM is now going to work for you. I think there's one where, and again, obviously, to say this, all the features that we're talking about, some will be released across from April, but some release all the way up into kind of September time for the next 6 months. So not everything that we're talking about today is going to be available to you from the off in your kind of deployment cycle from Microsoft in April. So it's going to take time for it to continue to roll out. But I think things like next best actions, it's going to give you suggestions on what the actions you should be taking by looking at, not just looking at kind of where you are on your stage, it's actually going to look at the notes and the communications that you've got on that record. So it's actually going to look at emails they're actually set against the record. And then it's going to look at the email and give you a suggestion. This is what you should be doing next. Ultimately helping you prioritise, opposed to you sitting there trying to look at your list and go, what do I prioritise apart from the one that's due today?
It's going to amend the temperature of the lead as well. So, whether it's hot, warm or cold based on the intent expressed in an email or in the communication. So if they've, specifically said, I want to buy, that lead's going right to the top of your pile.
Yeah.
Because the AI knows that they're ready to purchase. So it's going to prioritise that lead for you.
Yeah.
So that, and then obviously give you the next best action based on the fact that they're ready to buy. Go and, have the conversation and get the sale.
Yeah. Pass it over, hand it over to somebody that needs to pick it up, opposed to leave them to be nurtured at that point in time.
Just having something in the background that, is going through all of that email churn for you and doing that decision making and that analysis of the well, they like the word intent. They've used the word intent a lot throughout the release notes. But just analysing, it's probably the best word for it, but just analysing the intent of the customer, how intent they are on buying stuff.
Yeah.
That's been a feature throughout a lot of the things that they've released in this wave, is that it's about going through that communication, doing that legwork for you.
And I think from that point of view, is this is irrespective of the industry that you're in.
Yeah.
It's about people buying from people. It's about reading how people word emails, how people are emotive in terms of their engagements with you.
Yeah.
And utilising that to understand what you should do next. Because at the end of the day, yes, people might be buying a widget, a solution, a service, a contract or something.
Yeah.
But then outside of that, a case of someone or some people are still making a decision. And it's the emotion side of it that you then want to tap into with that and the way that they word those requirements or intentions as such.
Yeah, absolutely.
Sorry, go on, Kel.
I was just going to say, so they're obviously introducing all of that intent, and then not just emails, but phone calls and interactions and all of the kinds of things as well. So they're putting together a wealth of information to go and do that research for you. And whilst at the moment, I say it's limited, you're limited to your data lake, you're limited to your custom files, you're limited to stuff that's freely available on the internet.
Yeah.
And obviously your CRM data is also involved in there. I can only see that the sources of that are going to grow.
It does suggest that those sources that you can add into research are going to grow. And I think it's they've talked about that is going to expand, but there's an area of kind of that's not there yet.
Yeah.
But it's going to come. So
I think the reality is as well, they're going to have issues because the really good sources of data are all gatekept. So you're going to need to log into
you. In this case of what data are you scraping? Is it just generic data? Is it personal data? Then you've got GDPR in terms of what you're processing and stuff like that. So
there are a lot of concerns and implications.
Yeah, there's an element of there's some stuff that is just generic and maybe community forums and stuff like that it looks through, but then what's truth versus what's opinion versus what's just actual rubbish that's in there, and that is a genuinely a problem still with AI, and will continue to be a problem because it's only going to be as good as the data that's available to it, and especially from out there in the public domain. Well, we know that there's still a lot of rubbish out there.
We do.
And will continue to be fueled by a lot of rubbish over time as well. But I think outside of that is things like, if you've got different lines of business, I have seen that the agent, before you set your criteria for an incoming inquiry, it would help you qualify it, or whether it was relevant to you or not, based on the criteria of the contact, the industry, the type of requirement, where they're based, how big they are, etc. But now you're going to be able to have multiple agents for qualification. So if you've got different lines of business, if you've got, an area that sells components, an area that facilitates into service, an area that sells into construction of products into merchants, or then you've got maybe a B2C arm as well. You can't have one agent that's going to be able to understand qualification. No. And how Microsoft have even built it in Copilot Studio is that you have multiple agents that then service back to a main agent in terms of parent and child. So the idea is that these agents are ultimately doing discrete things. So in a sales way, you're going to have multiple qualification agents, essentially, if you've got different lines of business. So I thought that was a good evolution,
It
opposed
is.
to trying to fit everything within one, which just isn't going to work.
Absolutely not. But so the branching of agents isn't just limited to just the qualification either. So they're doing it for the research agent, so you can do your own independent research per sector.
Yeah.
But more importantly, they've done it for the communication agent,
Yeah.
so that the communications that you're sending back out, the prompts and the tone and all of that kind of thing can be based on the people that you're talking to.
Yes.
Because if you're selling a service to somebody or you're selling a spare part to somebody, the tone that you're going to want to use is going to be different.
Yes.
So,
Yeah.
so again, they've just improved on that sales agent feature and just added. I mean, it's probably seems like such a small, common sense thing, but the ability to just tailor those messages.
Yeah. You're going to hone it in, essentially. You're going to make it focused to hone it on that type of communication, opposed to you haven't done that for the last 3 weeks. I've been constantly doing another type of sale inquiry for the last 3 weeks. And then goes, hold on a second, I need to dig back out and find that data of what we did last time in that kind of, it's learning language in the background, it's model to say, oh, actually, we're going to do it this way this time, and it might not get it spot on. So I think to refine and make it discreet, I guess, for what it needs to do is a good thing. I think on the opportunity side, I noticed on kind of some of its the agents, and obviously there are different agents across the sales piece. There's a research, qualify, close, and across just generically finding gaps in opportunities. I think there's a whole suggesting updates. The idea is whether it's coming in on via email, and the email's coming, you've tracked against the opportunity, but you haven't actually updated the opportunity. Going, I've pushed this. We're going to push our decision timescale back by a few weeks. But then the salesperson just tracks it, leaves it against the opportunity, and just doesn't update the estimated close date. Again, I'm sure everybody has come across that situation. The system is now going to suggest, or even go as far as changing it for you on that date, as an example, because it has the information to do so. So save a seller some time to take that information and do it. Again, I'd find that useful because I'm reading it, but at the same time, if I take myself into sales-based role, I'm lazy. I want to do the least possible in a system. I just want to sell, and I want to earn commission. But the reality is I know I need to feed CRM information to get information back out. This is helping me do that. There will be a balance of how much it does. To state, it's not going to do a salesperson's job for them and fill everything in CRM. But it's certainly going to help and give you a suggestion of where you should be focusing on, what you should do next.
I'm just going to be curious how that's going to work based on our experience of suggestions in the past.
Yeah.
Which is what we've done have not been great. But clearly it was early days.
Agreed. However, I'll kind of just taking data. One of my most favourite features of recent times is the smart paste.
Okay.
And I think that smart paste takes text, a block of text, and gets into a lead, an opportunity, a case, etc., and does a pretty damn good job of it.
Yeah.
So if I think
long
about
as
kind
it's
of
structured.
so if I think about suggestion as such like that,
I think that
it's working well from that respect. So I'm hoping, don't get me wrong, I'm sure there will be challenges, but I'm hoping we're further forward than what we were 18 months ago when the suggestions first came in.
I think the other thing is as well is that like the suggestions, they didn't really have context.
No.
You were on a record, but the AI didn't really have any kind of context as to what it was trying to suggest for you. So it was just thinking, last time you filled in this field, you put the 24th of March,
Yeah.
Let's put the 24th of March in every field.
Yeah.
Whereas with this, it's going through the emails and it's getting the context and it's getting, it's back to that intent thing. It's getting the context from the emails and the activities and all of the research and stuff that it's doing. And it's saying, actually, this customer and this opportunity and this project, you're potentially missing this information. So it goes back to the filling in on a Friday afternoon. It's doing it for you now, for the most part.
But it's also got to encourage a mentality that it's doing it. And if I keep doing it, the little bits now to fill the right gaps in, I'm going to get it consistently.
Yeah.
Not just a Friday afternoon and I don't need to worry about CRM for another week.
Yeah.
It's a case of, actually, I'm going to get it back. Because the other thing that I saw it's going to do as well from a close perspective, it's going to monitor momentum.
Yeah.
Certain opportunities, if it drops off a cliff, why? Why is the momentum dropped? And actually, this opportunity is now at risk. So you haven't spoke to them for the last 3 weeks. Is that normal kind of scenario? As well as things like
sorry, I was just going to say, when I was reading that, one thing that really, really struck me when I was reading that article is that they said that they were going to give explainable insights, which meant that it was not only going to tell you this has dropped off a cliff.
Yep.
You know, it's going to be like, this is what you need to do, and this is why you need to do it.
Yes.
Which is revolutionary.
And absolutely, with that respect, again, hopefully see it more in action. But the idea is that it looks back at that person's opportunities, but also in the business as well, across other salespeople's opportunities, and go, actually, we see that if you remain this momentum through for these type of opportunities, you will see a higher success rate. And again, I bang on about trends and behaviours in CRM. I am that boring person that always uses those two words. But this agency is only emphasising it even more, and how it will give you something to make action on, essentially, because it's looking at that information available to you.
Yeah. I mean, the headline I've got is it's moving from AI as an assistant to AI as a workflow driver. It's sort of really pushing it with alerts.
Yeah, I think the reality is in some situations, it's going to allow your existing salespeople to sell more. Absolutely, there'll be certain situations where you will grow your sales team for certain reasons, certain new business, certain focus, certain geographical areas, territories, etc. But the reality is, this tool is going to allow people to do more with what they've already got, because they're going to be more hands-on in terms of the information that they've got front and centre to drive what they should do next, opposed to sit there, get their notepad out and go, what shall I do today? What shall I chase up today? Let's have a look at my general activities in CRM. And again, people use that as their to-do, but that is no longer good enough. That is no longer where CRM is going to excel. I think like strength of deals. It's a bit like you talked about kind of leads, and it's also going to give you suggestions of how good your opportunities are. Now, again, there's been opportunity scoring previously with some of the sales insight stuff. And obviously there's an element that you get as enterprise, but then you've got to go to premium level licensing. Again, the agent is going to give you some of that. Yeah. Now, let's not be clear here. Obviously, we'll mention it throughout, I'm sure. Agents is going to consume Copilot Studio credits capacity. So there's an additional cost for utilising this functionality. But if I say you do more with less, in terms of you don't have to keep hiring in certain scenarios, or you're going to allow the existing salespeople to sell more, convert more, engage more, the reality is they become more efficient, they become more productive, and then all of a sudden, the cost of whatever those credits are get eaten up in their return on investment, hands down. So yes, we'll see another license to Microsoft, but actually use it in the right way, and it should be a no-brainer, is what it should be.
Absolutely.
The other bit for me is coming out in, I think it's June, is looking at your research to look at your sales portfolio. I read this one in terms of look at your accounts, your deal rescues, your territories, who operates where, and sit there and go, are your sales team and are you balanced in terms of how you're operating? Have too many people got too many opportunities? Is there not over here actually where you're focusing? Looking at your activity and where's hot, where's not, what you're doing a lot of, what you're not doing a lot of, what you're engaged with, what you're not engaged with. Again, it's going to enable you to anticipate that and give you back in some analysis that's I'll give you an example from my perspective. If anybody's ever used Claude as an AI tool, Claude is quite good at visualizing things. Copilot can give you lists, information, text. Things like Grok and stuff like that are good at providing images and converting text and ideas into image, and Canva and stuff like that as well with its AI functions. Claude will take your data and give it a good visualization and kind of good presentation style. What research is going to start to do within CRM is start to give you analysis of your accounts, your customers, your opportunities, but give you that visualization as well as your text. And I think that's a big game changer for management using the tool as well, because they're so used to seeing things visually at snapshot level, and that's what research is kind of going to help provide. in my opinion.
That'd be good. I think as well. Also, if you've got that kind of analysis, then you can see where just within your sales team where you need to make improvements. So, say for example, you've got one salesperson that's really good at selling into one sector, but always loses deals in another.
Is it a training exercise, or do you redistribute those?
Exactly.
That other sort of work?
But so you can start to make those decisions with not just as gut feelings of, we think this is what's happening, but with real time analytics.
Yeah, agreed. Okay, obviously we talked a lot about sales already. The other bits that are non-AI related, a couple of things that are coming. Inbound, outbound calling, some improvements coming by May. So we've got the Teams dialer, but that's improving. So obviously enhancements around kind of transferring calls across. Some call recording and playback and conversation intelligence that's coming from it as well. Again, how it exactly works, because obviously you are bordering on line of like contact center type functionality, which is more licenses, etc. So how far does it go? But I think the whole kind of able to log those calls, any notes in a more streamlined experience is how they're pitching it.
Yeah.
I think will help.
The ability to also get transfer a call. I mean, if you're using Teams as your phone system, and then you're answering it in CRM, and you can't transfer a call, that's a major, major flaw in your phone system.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
So the ability to just be able to transfer it to somebody else is a major improvement in the Teams, in my opinion.
Yeah. Then the only other one, quick campaigns, one-time bulk email. So this is like, we talk about going to the future. This is like going back in time.
Back to the future?
Back to the future. The reality is, out of the quick campaign function, we are going to be able to do one-off, not quite as enriched as customer insights, journeys, etc., but one-off bulk emails, personalised, that can be sent out of CRM. I guess as an example, if a salesperson doesn't use customer insights and wants to get something out, maybe to their customers and their contacts quickly, it might be an option for them. However, I'll always twitch a little bit because we always know we shouldn't be mass emailing out of our own exchange. So we will tread with caution a little bit on that. Some people might be excited. I won't say concerns. I want to see how it's going to work in action first. But that's not due to be released until about September time.
No, I wonder if they're going to put a limit on it.
Quite possibly. Well, it would make sense to me.
You would hope.
So customer service, I think, again, we're on a track. Realistically, the main customer service enhancements is all about agents. So any ones that take your fancy, take your pick, highlights that want to mention?
Well, I mean, that first one, we've got customer sentiment. This is one I remember 3-4 years ago. Yeah. I remember I did a webinar about hooking Facebook Messenger up to Omnichannel.
Yeah.
And you could see the sentiment going on there.
Yeah.
It was just a smiley face or a frowny face that was either green or red. It was, you know, and I had to be pretty obvious what I was telling. It didn't get sarcasm and anything like that. But typing sarcasm is never the best. So it's going to be interesting to see what it's doing.
Yeah, I remember it was very good if you were like, this is brilliant, or I'm very angry. But if you were like, it's fine, it was like, I'm not really sure where to go here.
Yeah, you just got the face with the flat mouth. Yeah. I wasn't sure.
I think more than anything, it's just obviously looking at the emails in the case, you have to enable kind of an agent card with inside of the case, but it's going to give you a summary of the emails of whether they're positive or negative. So from a management point on a view, again, down to interpretation on the words in and understanding how people write emails, and some people big capital letters but don't put any angry words, versus some people actually put, let's just say, expletives in the email. But it's a good kind of visual view to say, actually, what is the sentiment like on this particular case record? Because you can have high priority, but the customers understands they want it sorted, but they're okay. But then you can have a standard issue, and it's like the world's ended. and they're shouting, etc. And again, we're all emotional people. We'll all have our moments where we'll do those things, etc. It is. I'm not kind of going against it. It's just, but we can get to see that level of sentiment, which is quite nice.
I would expect the context to be a lot better. It seems to be the word of the day for agents, doesn't it? But it's all about the context. But the agent's going to be better at interpreting that context than what the sentiment analysis engine, whatever it was called all those years ago,
I think
was.
The other bit for me on agents is your case management agent, and how you can obviously get to a point where you'll be able to let the agent, case management agent, actually take the case, and if it has the knowledge available, resolve it for you, and actually be a customer service rep that operates for you. But initially, you can turn shadow mode on with case agents, so you can got the support team going through, after sales team going through all the issues, cases. You deal with it, but then after that is that shadow agent has, or the shadow case agents worked in the background, and it will have gave its suggestion of what you do next, how you solve it, what you resolve, etc. Would you have resolved it quicker? And you can compare like for like. Is it good enough? Does it really get where you're trying to get to resolve the problem? Does it show enough empathy, etc.? Versus fundamentally, does it get it right or wrong? But the idea is going to learn from the humans doing it, to then get to a point where there'll be certain cases that you don't need human interaction, and it can just run parts of your after sales support queries for you.
I think the use of that is obviously going to be really, really good, but it's going to also tie very heavily into the getting AI to generate the knowledge base articles.
Yeah.
And making sure, I think the knowledge base has always kind of been something that's just been there in customer service. But I think now with the era of agents coming in, the knowledge base is going to become so fundamental to customer service that organisations aren't going to be able to operate without it anymore.
Yeah, and that's not just not just the knowledge base articles that are core.
It's going
articles.
to be the portal to surface it.
It's also, have you got certain SharePoint documents?
Yeah.
What are your other sources that are structured that facilitates that? So, for example, someone that sells like machinery or products or etc., and in there's like a manual that gives you answers. Well, the idea is that the case management agent, etc., is going to find that information out and dig it out and give you the answer from that little snippet of that document. But the idea is you have to have that in a structured way, in a structured place that it knows where to look. And those manuals or those documents are wrote in a consistent way as well.
Well, we're trying that internally. So as a case gets resolved, we've had a little checkbox that says create knowledge base article from this.
Yeah.
And mixed results, mainly because you need the information in the case.
And
if you don't actually fill in what you've done,
yeah,
it's not going to be able to get the answer.
You don't add context to the case either of what really the problem is and what it's causing and who's affected. Then, you're writing an article based on very limited information. So-and-so is unhappy. Doesn't work. Okay.
The other factor in that as well is going to be that, it's universal for customer services. People don't put all of the information in the initial request for help.
No.
I mean, how many emails of not just us, customer services teams, throughout the universe have received emails that just say help.
Yeah.
It's like, that's not very, very descriptive
Yeah,
at
you
all.
always need more context. Absolutely, you do. And things as well, linking onto some of the contact center stuff, as you've also got to be able to evaluate and see kind of all the incoming kind of chat and conversation internally. And I think the ability that agents now are going to be able to, initially the whole sentiment is based off email and stuff like that, but other modes of incoming communication. So looking at those and looking at your whole kind of pot and say, well, actually evaluate my conversations from chat widgets to SMS to WhatsApp, etc. That's only going to come. Obviously, the whole chat widget, etc., is next on the list for the evaluation agent with contact center. But I think it's you always get a lot of data in CRM from customers, from colleagues, etc. And sometimes it's been hard to decipher and get through all the noise. The idea is the agent is kind of doing that hard work for you to help get through some of that noise at the same time, to give you something meaningful easily without having a data analyst sitting, trawling through and trying to create patterns that way. So SMB level, it's definitely going to be super useful quite quickly.
Yeah.
Moving on, otherwise we'll keep talking agents and agents and agents. Field service.
More agents?
Yeah, there's more agents. Obviously the schedule and the ops agent.
There's something that's not agent first. Should we cover those first?
Yeah, let's cover non-agents.
Yeah. Okay, so they've introduced, and I copy this verbatim, client runtime optimization to increase form load speeds. So basically they've made the app a bit less laggy. So the forms load a bit quicker.
Yeah.
25% apparently.
Yeah, I think that was specific to Android forms, wasn't it, as well?
Yeah, I think so.
But obviously, from a mobile field service point of view, I think they recognise that some experiences need a better experience, a quicker experience.
Yeah.
So they've done some work with that. The bit for me on the mobile experience, though, was the note-taking control that they've added.
Yeah.
That makes it far more user-friendly for engineers to be able to add quickly, click the button, add a note, type a note, take a picture, done, add it against the kind of the work order, essentially. Yeah. That, for me, makes it easier to use whilst you're out on the road.
Yeah, it's just cut down all the noise, hasn't it? With so you've got the whole screen.
Yes.
So you're not reduced to this much when your keyboard's open. And
yeah, I was going to say the idea is that there's lots of field and sections to CRM, work orders, etc. But this is you literally get your whole tablet phone screen to start to type out away and then close it back down again. The other bit for me, simple ones, being able to move multiple bookings at once. Either move Jason's bookings, this chunk of Jason's bookings, out by a week, or move this chunk of Jason's bookings to either of you.
Yep.
And you never used to be able to do that en masse.
No, the other thing that you can do as well, so obviously the moving bookings out, so, stuff happens, traffic, whatever, things get pushed back. But more importantly, if your 9 a.m. booking gets cancelled, you can pull your entire day forward.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. All of a sudden, potentially creates a gap at the end of the day that you can fit something else into that might be close by.
Yeah.
And before we mention the scheduling optimization agent, the other bit for me was you can now expand the map to be full screen. Simple, opposed to it just being on the pane on the right hand side. It now goes the width of the screen, so you can literally look at your jobs.
It will be interesting to see when you're scheduling things how that looks in terms of using the map, because obviously at the moment you use the board and you've got the map that kind of gives you the estimate of the time.
Yes.
So it would be quite interesting.
Yeah, if you put your travel and everything on it, yes.
So whilst the full screen will be useful to look at the day to see where things are plotted, I don't know how useful it'll be when you're actually scheduling things. So it'd be interesting to see.
And then we've got the agent, just because we need another agent. To
be fair, this one's actually really good.
Yeah, so again, it's not straight away, but the scheduling optimization agent. So it's about being able to schedule multiple resources.
Yeah. So currently you can go to the schedule board, you can highlight one resource, you can ask it to optimize it, and it will optimize it by priority or by travel time, so that they've got the most efficient route. So the new scheduling optimization agent, the changes to it are basically you can now do up to 5 resources on the board or up to 30 using what was it they called it?
Optimization
plan. Yep, so you can create an optimization plan, which I'm assuming is like resource optimization agent. That
used to be. Oh yeah, I'd imagine it's probably going to end up replacing it, is my gut feeling.
Yeah. But so you can create those optimization plans, but also you can now give it custom weighted criteria. So it's not just priority and it's not just time efficiency.
Yeah, so you can, so the idea is actually this customer should be prioritised. Maybe from a contractual perspective more than anything.
So again, obviously, we're going to have to wait and see what that looks like, but
Yep.
it could be things like SLAs, all sorts of things.
Yep. So again, I think the whole scheduling and assisting with the scheduling, depending on the size of the team, depends on the complexity of the jobs, depends on how many jobs move around. And the reality is no matter how big your team is, jobs always move around. GMs always have to change. So even if it's just helping you to run a suggestion, it's a worthwhile consideration from a field service point of view. So then, moving on from field service, customer insights, and let's just focus on journeys. The one for me was message expirations. So if you've got an email or a message or an SMS or whatever in a particular journey, it might be running a campaign for several weeks, but then let's just say a particular offer has expired or you no longer want to send that email because it's not relevant anymore. You can go into that email and just change the date. You can just set it to expire, and no matter who's in that journey now, they just won't get that email anymore. If they need to catch up to that journey, they just won't get that email. Opposed to having to try and stop the journey, maybe create a new one because it's not going to function how you want it to, etc. So I thought that was a simple feature, but quite a nice feature if you're trying to utilise the tool to run long-term campaigns, realistically, or communication chains. And the other one for me was create tasks. Again, more functionality around creating tasks as a result of kind of engagements. So somebody click visiting your website on a certain page, or as long as you've got their IP address already, or they've opened a specific email, some more enhanced functionality around kind of creating tasks for salespeople to follow up. Is there anything else that people want to mention on journeys?
So the other one that stood out for me is the branded links. So
Yep.
obviously at the moment they're stored in a asset library with a random Microsoft URL. And they can look a bit dodgy because they're automatically generated links. And
Yep.
Obviously people are taught to be security conscious these days. So if you've got a URL to an image that you're not sure where it's coming from and you don't recognise the URL, you're going to be like, do I want that?
Yep.
Whereas obviously if it's a branded link and it's coming from your domain, they're going to be more likely to trust it.
Yeah, agreed. So then Power Platform. Let's whistle through, I guess. Power Apps. I've got 2 generative pages, which is essentially those that understand custom pages, but let's just say it's a front-end interface that is a different way of visualizing your data. That links into your Dataverse tables, etc., and go and create a summary information that essentially it looks more like a Canvas app than it looks like standard and model-driven CRM page, is the best way of describing it. So again, we're going to be able to look at those of how we can maybe visualize data differently within CRM and Power Platform as one option. And then we've also, it's not really a Wave 1 release, but we've also now got code apps as an addition to Canvas apps, model-driven apps, generative pages, etc. So that's another way of essentially writing some code to deliver some apps. And we'll probably talk a bit more about CRM Connect of what that means and are they going to be used or not. And I think in time, yes, they will. Those are my Power App ones. Anything else that anyone wants to mention from Power App's perspective?
We've had a look at these the lookup grid columns, haven't we?
Yeah.
This seems quite an interesting change. So previously you relied on the quick find search, the quick find view, quick find columns, where you had to specify which columns it searched through.
Yes.
When you were looking for things. That's now changed. It's the whole Dataverse search. So it's a bit more of a focused search that is not reliant on the criteria that you put in.
So you don't have to set it.
Correct.
We still have to index fields.
Yes.
Okay, you have to set the index of the fields.
Assuming that your field is indexed for your entire system search,
Yeah.
it's now indexed for your lookup search too.
So more efficient from a configuration point of view as well.
Yeah.
In terms of you don't have to go, I've done that, but I need to go over there and do that, etc.
You also found, I remember in the past we had it with the quick find views that, okay, you could add 3 fields, 4 fields, 5 fields. The moment that started to creep up more and more and more, and then you got a big chunk of data, the speed just dropped off a cliff.
Yeah. It will be interesting to see how this performs, though.
Yeah.
And if you've made a typo in a lookup, no chance of finding that record. Whereas the Dataverse search will.
Well, it's now like fuzzy logic, and
Yeah.
it says it will deal with small spelling mistakes and things like that. So again, what it looks like and how it works,
We'll see.
We'll see. Obviously, if they're ripping off the principles of Dataverse intelligence search, as they call it, etc., and just moving it across to be utilised over here, and hopefully it will work. But yeah, performance will be an interesting one. Especially if you've got lots and lots and lots of fields on the table on a form, because some of our customers have.
But yeah, so then for me in Power Apps, we've got the concept of wrapped apps. So we've had wrapped apps for a while. So for people that don't know, wrapped apps basically means that you can download a Canvas app, use it like a native Android app.
Yeah.
But you had to get it through all of the Google Play assessments and things like that. So now you can download I'm going to use APK because I'm an Android user. So now you can download the APK file directly from Power Apps and install it onto your phone.
Yep.
So you can use that, to push your app out, a proper branded app, not through the Power Apps player.
So you don't have to click Power Apps and then go
Yeah,
into the
so
app.
it's like a proper branded native app
Yeah.
that, has your branding and your logo and everything on it. So now you can just download the APK and then roll that out through Intune or whatever you use to, push your apps to your devices. Obviously still limited to internal users because of licensing implications.
Yeah.
But so the other thing as well is that what was missing from wrapped apps is that you couldn't enable push notifications. So it couldn't act like a native app.
Yeah.
But now you can do push notifications as well. So it just becomes a little bit more like a native mobile app.
Yes. Like you'd expect an app to.
Like you'd expect an app to behave, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And then let's keep rattling through then. Power Pages. I think the only one that I really wanted to, again, a couple of ones that I wanted to mention specifically is performance and usage and kind of some enhancements around kind of tracking page views, interactions, session details, how many have been on it, but ultimately page load times, error rates and stuff like that. As people are putting more into portals and websites, how is it actually performing? As we at Techman enhance our customer portal, how many people are finding performance issues, etc., potentially with it. So again, I think that's quite a good one. And then the security agent that's going to analyze, for me, is looks at holes, potential areas that maybe your portal could have a DDoS attack against it or something like that, and give you suggestions on what you should be doing. Because unless you sit there in web development all the time looking at this, and the idea is Power Pages, anybody can go and build a portal, in theory, then the idea is that, actually, security just takes care of itself. Not quite. So again, this is going to help those people that don't sit in web development and web management all day, every day, as my suggestion would be.
Yeah. So then the one that I noticed on there was encrypted token support. So basically allow more identity providers to be used.
Yep.
So, I mean, to be fair, we've got pretty much all of them available. I know you can use Facebook and Google and maybe Apple. Can we use Apple? I don't know if we can actually.
I haven't seen Apple on
but
this.
Pretty much every account that somebody would have.
Yeah.
You've got them there. But so hopefully this will just, finish off the last few like Apple and stuff like that. So again, interesting to see what identity providers get added.
Yes. Power Automate. I think there's one in particular I'd mention on Power Automate, but go on.
Yeah, this is the deleted flows.
Yes.
Yes. So it looks like you can restore your deleted flows. As consultants, we shouldn't be doing our job right if we need this. No. We should have backups and we should have
but ultimately flow is not restricted to us, is it?
No, there are people who are going to write their own.
I think probably outside of actual CRM processes, the majority of flows are going to be owned by individual people that are just extracting attachments from their emails.
Yeah, or processing something internally, or automated some type of activity on their desktop, as an example.
Yeah.
But the ability to restore an accidentally deleted flow. it'd be interesting to see how it actually manages it in terms of like connection references and
Yeah.
is it going to automatically re-authenticate everything, and or do you need to go back? It brings back the flow and all the steps and the conditions, but actually you still need to go and re-authenticate it and re-trigger it back to get back running again.
Which would be fun with a BC flow, because when you change the environment, it wipes it all.
Yes. So I think it's a headline. It sounds lovely. I think there'll be certain situations where actually it doesn't just do to a click of a finger. Depends on what your flow is doing. And then two other ones to finish. Copilot Studio. So there's lots of stuff in the release notes about Copilot Studio. For the purpose of this podcast, and for the people that listening, what is ultimately going to kind of the highlight for me out of the notes is the ability to create an agents, of course, but any agent that you've got, be able to connect it to any external data by creating a custom NCP server. And essentially, NCP server, think about that's the route that your agent goes out and finds that information and returns it back in a way that it's structured, managed, and controlled, I guess is my very high level way of saying it. But the idea is it means that I can create an NCP server that goes and looks at my DocuSign. And the idea is going linked to kind of do I have any outstanding envelopes waiting to sign? Go and look at my Outlook, and go and look at my Outlook and envision the last time that we had an email from this customer with this domain that might not be in CRM. Go and look at my website CMS and go and look at the visitors. Go and look at, I don't know, in theory, my Google SEO account and go and pull some information from it. Again, it's all subject to what we can get access to, is the summary. But the idea is that it's getting to the point where if I can connect to it, there's an API or some type of authentication to it, my agent can connect to it. And it can return what I need it to manage my business process or facilitate customer information as a self-serve perspective for customers or suppliers.
We've kind of worked on this principle as consultants for quite a while now with external data sources anyway, so using things like Power BI gateways and custom connectors to, create all of these API calls and things. So essentially, we're just using similar sort of technology, just with a different name.
Yeah,
I think
you created a custom connection.
Yeah,
is ultimately
essentially
what we're doing. Yeah.
So it's different but familiar.
Yes. And then finally, generic Dataverse. Who wants to finish with the? I think we're all thinking of the same thing. We're all going to say the same thing. So who wants to say it?
Done.
Deleted records, restoring them. We've had the recycle bin for a while.
In preview.
Which
has been temperamental, to say the least, in preview.
It depends what you want to do. If it's a single record that you've deleted, it's pretty good at getting it back. If it's a record that then cascades and deletes others, and there's this whole trail of records, not so good. But again, you've got to say it was just a preview feature. They're obviously trying it out, seeing how it behaves. Not very well, but maybe maybe it's going to get a bit better now. It's actually coming. They're actually putting a bit more resource behind it.
Also, use cases are, for example, if people have, for any particular reason on their security, allowed users to go and delete accounts.
Yeah.
Go and delete opportunities. Go and delete a case. So think about it from that perspective. The idea is there is a recycle bin that we can go and take that record from and go and restore it. But as we saw, is that if that record has associated records to it, it becomes problematic. And again, we've trialed it, and because it was always known not to use preview functionality in production. But the idea is that it hasn't worked when there's multiple records from multiple tables related to each other involved, it doesn't perform so well. On a record on its own, so an opportunity that's on its own, that hasn't got, for example, an associated sample record that we created, an associated project record that came to it if you're part of like building materials construction, then problematic.
Yeah.
To be fair to it, it has got better. It has, over the last 18 months we've had it enabled, it has got better. And also, not for us to do this, but I'm going to defend Microsoft here because we actually had, we actually had a case where the recycle bin was struggling to restore an opportunity because one of the child records, I can't remember exactly what table it was now, but it was like some spurious table that like random, you would never use against an opportunity, just some random like session record somewhere. And they actually, even though it was in preview, they actually took the case and helped resolve the case on a preview feature. So,
did they follow the preview feature through to actually make the preview feature actually function to do it, or did they do something different?
they did something dodgy in the background.
Okay.
I think they restored the spurious record that they couldn't restore.
Yep.
And then it was able to do the rest.
Yep.
So, but I can't give exact details. But they did help.
Obviously, the only thing to note on the restore the deleted record is you have to set a retention period on how far you can go back with your records. Really, within a few hours, a few minutes, a few seconds,
You'd hope you'd notice.
someone's shouting either at home in front of their laptop or in the office and an expletive going, ah!
Oops, my bad.
Yeah, oops, my bad, yeah. The max you can set your retention period is up to 30 days. So, yeah. But then you leave it longer and then all the data's changed. It's interesting to say other associated data then changes. How does then that impact to restore? So my view is, personally, is that it's the here and now that you're really using it for, not for 30-day kind of length of time has lapsed perspective.
Yeah, it's you hope it's immediate. I mean, we've had customers, the frequent one that comes up is someone's wanted to delete something in a child record in a subgrid.
And they
press
deleted the
one
main
at the
record
top,
on the...
Yeah.
You're going to know pretty quickly.
Yes.
Even though it flashes up with a big warning box, you're about to delete this account and all associated records.
Are you sure?
Yes.
Yeah? No? Oh, okay. There's obviously plenty more features. We've talked a lot about agents. Is there any way that you'd summarise what Wave 1 release notes have been like as we've consumed them?
Agentic.
Agentic. Crikey, we are playing the Microsoft playbook, aren't we?
We
We
drank
are.
the Kool-Aid.
Oh yeah. Super cool. Awesome. Yeah, I think agentic AI is now not just about Copilot, is the best way of describing it. We'll have heard that with Business Central as well from that side of the fence. But CRM is going to be probably not the right term, but it's going to be littered with agent functionality from top to bottom.
Yeah.
And the reality is, it's not a option whether you use it, it's a how you use it.
The only other thing to probably add to that is that obviously previously, and we've seen it, at one point it was best practice, lots of people have got custom apps to access a CRM system.
Yeah.
They need to get into the standard apps for all of the agent features to work the way they're intended to work.
Yes. Yeah, I'd probably say years gone by, the custom apps calling your CRM app the My Company app, etc. There's reasons why we did it previously as businesses. We at TechMan have tried to ensure that we're moving away from that over recent years, just for other features, but certainly from an agent point of view, those configurations, administration areas are native to the standard Microsoft kind of apps. And yes, there is ways to enable Copilots and agents and embed agents into custom apps, absolutely. But traditional CRM, you need to be using the standard ones.
Yeah, to get the most out of it and to get them as they release.
Yeah.
You need to be using the standard apps again.
Okay, well, we have been going. I've just kept an eye on the time. I am almost going to guess this is nearly clocking up to be nearly an hour's worth of podcast. So thanks for sticking with us. Or if you've skipped bits of the way through, there's been a lot to talk about, and agents have been that topic. So thank you, Kelly. Thank you, John. And my name is Jason. And thank you for listening to another episode of Techman Talks Dynamics. We'll see you again soon.